All right, we have the problem 583 divided by 4, and we are going to use our hangman method and our blocks method to show how they go together. Okay, so starting off, we need to set up our problem. Written out the long way here is 583 divided by 4. So when we get to hangman, we need to decide which number goes on the outside and which number goes on the inside. Okay, if we remember, our first number or our dividend goes on the inside, so 583, and our divisor or our second number goes on the outside, so there's our divided by 4. Okay, and for our blocks, that means that we're going to have 5 hundreds, so there's our 5 hundreds. We're going to have 8 tens. There is our 8 tens, and then we have our 3 ones. Okay, so that's our blocks that we have that we're starting with. And we're going to start with our biggest blocks. So we start with our 500s, and we're going to split those into 4 groups. So if we do that, splitting them into our 4 groups, you can see that we would have our 4 groups here, and we have 1 left over. Okay, so in our hangman, the way that we're going to show that is we have put 100 into each group. So we've put 100 in each group, which means we've used a total of 100, 200, 300, 400. So I have a total of 400 that I have used, which means out of all of my blocks, I still have 183 that I need to split up and divide into my groups. Okay, with our blocks, when we're doing that, we still have 100 left, we have our 8 tens, and we have our 3 ones. Okay, we know that we can't split this up, so we're going to trade those in for 10 tens. Okay, so I'm going to take this out, put in my 10 tens. So these are the ones that I traded in. I already had 8 to start with, so if I have 10 and 8 together, I have a total of 18. Okay, and on our hangman, we can find that right here. So we're looking at our 18 tens. And you're asking yourself, 18 can be put into 4 groups. How many times? So what I'm really asking is 4 times what number will get me close to 18 without going over? Well, I know that 4 times 4 equals 16. So that tells me that I could put 4 in each group. So I could have 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups, and 4 groups. So if I look at this, I have 10, 20, 30, 40 that I just put into each group. So I put 40 in each group, which means if I had 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160. So I'm using 160 of those blocks. Okay, so if I add these with my hundreds group that I have off my screen right now, because not everything will fit on the screen for us, here are our blocks that we have left. So after I do my subtraction, you will see that we still have 23 blocks that we need to put in our groups. Okay, we know that we cannot take these 2 tens and put them into our 4 groups, so we need to trade those in for ones. Okay, so I take this 10 out and I put 10 in. Put these 10 in and trade in for that. So now I have 10 ones, 10 ones, and 3 ones, which gives me a total of 23 ones. Okay, so just like we did with our tens, now we're asking ourselves a multiplication problem. So we have 23 into 4 groups. So we're saying 4 times what number will get me close to 23 without going over? I know that 4 times 5 gives me 20. So what that tells me is that I could put 5 in a group, which works. Some of those are off the screen. I apologize for that. And then I have my 3 left over. So by putting 5 ones in a group, I used 5. And here's 5, 10, 15, 20 that I'm putting in my groups. And when I subtract, that shows me what I have left over. Okay, now if I take these 5 and again put them in my 4 groups that are currently off screen, to get my final answer, I should be able to go through and add this up because I saw how many hundreds I put in a group, how many tens I put in a group, and how many ones I put in a group. So when I add 100 plus 40 plus 5, I end up with 145. And then my remainder was 3, which I also get from down here. So I end up with a remainder of 3. Okay, let's check our blocks to see if our groups match that. We have 100, 4 tens, 5 ones. Same thing there. Same thing there. And same thing there. So each of our 4 groups has 100, 40, 5, and then we had our remainder of 3. I hope this helps if you did not get that answer originally.